Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, late Monday night, the Florida Gators commitment sweatshirt comes back on. Four-star athlete, Davian Groce committing to Florida. A little bit of a surprise commitment. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators surging over the last 12 hours in this one. Dill, number one, the Florida fans should be fired up about this one. Number two, a big boy recruitment and big boy win for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Dill, this is a kid that checks all three boxes that you're looking for with the kid coming out of high school. Number one's the athletic profile. Juiced up, man. I mean, 6'1", 190, 10-7 in the 100-meter dash, state champ in the 200-meter. And then you look at the production, over 4,000 all-purpose yards at the high school ranks the last 3 years. Then, Dill, the best part about this kid, you turn on the junior cut up. It looks so easy for him. Like when you look at 6'1", 190, 10-7 in the 100-meter dash, now I'm turning on the film and saying we're probably just going to see a really big wide receiver that can work vertically down the field. Look, he can do that. He gives you some verticality in your offense. Ain't no question about that. Dill, how easy of a mover this kid is at that size is incredible. Like his ability to throttle down and create some separation at all three levels of the football field. There are so many different ways you can get this kid incorporated in your offense, and you can ask him to do just about anything. I think this is a premier playmaker in the 2026 cycle. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. Love, and I mean love, the wide receiver class that Florida has put together. Fired up to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, the Florida fans, appreciate you guys. Been a blast talking this program, both on the recruiting trail and in fall camp. The amount of support that y'all have shown the boys. Look, if you're taking time out of your Monday night to listen to the boys break down a commitment, we appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, Davian Groce, surprisingly, coming to Gainesville. How are we feeling about it?
And I think the one thing you leave out is, he's huge. Like, I think this guy's going to be a really big wide receiver.
Yeah.
And for a guy who moves the way he does, like, you talk about just being able to win any which way, like, his physicality, I think, should be able to be a real problem. And that's not something you get to see a ton of on the high school film because, naturally, you're not going to play a ton of press man against a guy who can take the top off the way Davian Groce can.
Agreed.
You know that when you go see teams like Tennessee or Georgia who have first-round caliber cornerbacks, like they're going to play that way, and you need to be able to win. So I look a guy who moves the way he does and can be physical at the catch point and be physical at the top of his routes. I think he's kind of got the total package, and that's, again, you need wide receivers who can go win against the other team's number one guy, and I feel like he's a guy who could develop into that at some point.
This guy has legitimate wide receiver one potential in the SEC, and there's no question about it. The thing that I probably left off in the intro that I got to circle back on is the yards after the catch this kid brings. Like, number one, he can just make you miss. Like, kind of like a human joystick for a guy that's 6'1", 190. He moves tremendously well in terms of making people miss. He's a load to bring down for defensive backs. And look, you take a bad angle on this kid, going to run right by you too. He brings the two things that are most important to this Florida offense: verticality and yards after the catch ability. Like, that's what Billy Napier wants to build this offense with. That's what Davian Groce brings. And so, Dill, you're not only talking about like a good football player here, you're talking about a really good fit in this Florida Gators offense too. Because look, Billy Napier sometimes, I ain't going to get up here and say he's the best offensive play caller in the country. He's really good at getting his playmakers involved in space. Davian Groce can be a weapon. Now, the last thing that I'll note here, we're making some serious progress in the state of Texas, man. Like, obviously, headlined by DJ Lagway, Davian Groce this class, KJ Ford this class. I mean, we're taking some of the best players in the state of Texas, bringing them to Gainesville. Look, if there's a state that you want to start building a little pipeline to, like, Texas is certainly one of the better ones to incorporate. Want to take a look at this 2026 class in general. And Dill, what I want to focus on this wide receiver class. What I look at here is just a lot of different kind of skill sets that seem to gel really well. Justin Williams, like kind of the Eugene Wilson, Vernell Brown kind of playmaker, especially after the catch. You look at Marquez Daniel, big body that can work vertically. Then you look at Davian Groce and say he's the all-purpose guy. Like, if you're asking me who's going to be the wide receiver one out of this 2026 class, I'm looking at Davian Groce. And that's not a shot at Marquez Daniel. That's not a shot at Justin Williams. I think they can be phenomenal complementary pieces, but I'm looking at 3 blue chip wide receivers that all bring a little bit of a different flavor to the pass catcher room. You stack that on top of Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery, Muez Tencora. Say the wide receiver room for Florida is going to be loaded over the next couple of years. I'm a huge fan of what they're building in the pass catcher room and over the next couple of years in this program.
And like shout out DJ Lagway. I mean, that is the type of pull I feel like that those big time quarterbacks kind of bring. And Billy Napier didn't necessarily have that guy, especially the way the whole Jaden Rashada thing worked out. But that ultimately probably let you get your hands on DJ Lagway. And now you're starting to see this is a really attractive spot for big time wide receivers. Still. You're starting to see the vision. I mean, you're seeing, like, you're hearing what Dallas Wilson can be. You saw what two guys who aren't like as talented probably as Davian Groce type players or Dallas Wilson and Shamir DK and Badger have really good seasons. So again, I just think now you're really starting to be able to sell that vision of, well, this is going to be a really explosive, fun offense come playing.
Come play if you a pass guy. I'm a Michigan fan. We're Michigan fans.
I love
you understand. We want that, man. We want that in Ann Arbor so badly.
Excitement.
So here's the other storyline that we have to talk about here. Well, you're also trending for a 2027 quarterback, and he happens to be, according to 24/7 Sports, the number 1 player in the country, the number 1 quarterback in the country, Elijah Haven. Dill, this only helps, man. Like you're trying to sell Elijah Haven to jump in the fold early. You're selling them, and hey, like DJ Lagway's probably going to the NFL by the time you're coming in. You're going to have the opportunity to play early. Oh yeah, not only the opportunity to play early for an SEC program, but you're going to be throwing to Vernell Brown. You're going to be throwing to Dallas Wilson. You're going to be throwing to guys like Davian Groce and Marquez Daniel. This only helps Florida's pitch to a guy like Elijah Haven. Can I cook a second with Elijah Haven, Dill? Like, he's not the same kind of quarterback as DJ Lagway, but reminds me of the type of prospect that DJ Lagway was. And that is immense physical traits. I mean, go back to DJ Lagway when Florida was recruiting him as a sophomore into his junior year. Really talented, dripping with talent quarterback that hadn't necessarily putting it all together. And the plot twist, DJ Lagway put it all together his senior year and then emerged as one of the best quarterbacks in the country going into 2025. I look at Elijah Haven and say, probably not going to be as broad as DJ Lagway, a little bit taller, a little bit lankier, but they'll very similar conversation where, look, he ain't a finished product right now. He ain't. If it all comes together for this kid, you're talking about another special talent at the quarterback position. And zero doubt in my mind, the success that DJ Lagway has experienced at Florida is playing a role in the recruitment of Elijah Haven in a big-time manner. And I think loading up on all these pass catchers only going to help your chances at landing the number 1 player in the country here.
Yeah, because Elijah Haven, I mean, again, as much as people are always going to talk NIL and everything else, for quarterbacks especially, I think a big thing is they want to be able to win. Florida, like, big year for them, because like you talk about how they could close this year. If they have the type of year that I think they could potentially have given the talent on the roster, like, look out for Florida in January, just like you had to look out for him last year. But that, I think, again, you talk about getting in the mix for an Elijah Haven early. You kind of needed that DJ Lagway effect, that first guy to kind of jump in the boat and make it happen. Now you have it. I just look like Florida, if they're really winning and running and you're developing quarterbacks the way DJ Lagway feels like he's kind of being developed, especially with his progress over the course of the year, because he came out, like, obviously that Tennessee game, the first time it was his team, let's say, wasn't the greatest game I've ever seen a quarterback play, and then he really dialed it in. So again, it does feel like Florida's really starting to get things humming, especially on the offense side of the ball. If everything else kind of catches up, then I think you got a really scary.
My biggest takeaway is that and look, I ain't no high school recruit. Wasn't in high school either, unfortunately. These kids want to play for Florida. Like, it's just clear. Like, go look at the visit weekends Florida's putting together. And as Florida continues to build momentum on the football field, win a lot of football games with young talent. I mean, you look at Florida and say, if they go out and win 10-plus football games, which we both believe is a possibility, you're doing it with a sophomore quarterback, the sophomore running back in Jaden Baugh, 2 freshman receivers in Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson, some young cats in the secondary. Like, they want to go play for a program, and they want to have the opportunity to play when they're young. Florida's doing it, man. They're checking all the boxes. If they put it together in 2025, I'm kind of with you. Off to the
Especially
races.
winning Florida, like guys are going to get what they want off the field. Like that's just a fact of the matter. So you look, I mean, if Florida can get it humming, and it does feel like they're. I mean, again, this year's a big one for sure in terms of like really getting it rocking. But like even towards the end of last year, you could feel it, and you're really continuing to feel it. Where again, especially early in this cycle, you maybe had some questions or like some period of lull, maybe in that like May to June. But like you look at the way they're kind of going to close the summer out. I mean, they're kind of getting it back and at the right time because the season.
I think they'll do their best work, and I think you're right. I think they'll do their best work in December, 100%. And I don't mean to backtrack here, and I know you're going to get mad at me for it, but Elijah Haven as a sophomore, man, like probably shouldn't have left this out. 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Also ran for 19 touchdowns. Ran for 925 rushing yards. Legitimate dual threat kind of guy too. Probably should have thrown that in there too because this kid's a ball player. All right, we'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Have a phenomenal Monday night, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.